thank everybody for coming today. We have some wonderful news that's going to be delivered to us in a little bit from our HUD partners here. I'm Kim Marisek. I'm the Planning and Zoning Director with St. Charles Parish. And as many of you know, because some of you here today were on our steering committee, and I want to thank you for your time, we recently adopted the St. Charles 2030, which is our land use plan for the coming 20 years. The redevelopment and revitalization of Paul Mallard Road was consistently seen as a major project throughout the comprehensive planning process. As a major connecting corridor, we need to think holistically about the vision for the future of both the commercial area and the neighborhoods that border that roadway. With the high concentration of public services along the road, significant public investment is already coming into this area. Additionally, businesses, new and old, continue to invest along the corridor. This planning project will allow all of those interests, public, residential, commercial, civic, and nonprofit, to work together to develop a united, consensus-driven approach to direct the future development along this roadway. Special attention will be paid along the way to increasing transportation options for pedestrians, bicyclists, and transit riders, providing housing options and choices for our working and our aging populations, and to evaluate the barriers that exist to economic redevelopment along this roadway. Overall, the goal will be to provide the guidance to recreate Paul Mallard Road in a way that allows the roadway to unify the neighborhood by providing an accessible and walkable area that is connected to local serving businesses and public services. The process will be grounded in an ongoing and active public engagement program. The project will bring together several partners, and many of you are here today, so thank you so much for coming. But those partners include the St. Charles Parish Hospital, the St. Charles Parish School Board, the LA Workforce Commission, WIA Office, the New Orleans Regional Planning Commission, the River Parish Transit Authority, Family Resources of New Orleans, a housing advocacy organization, and the Center for Planning Excellence, which is a nonprofit planning organization. All of these partners have a vested interest alongside the citizens and business owners on Paul Mallard Road in seeing this area become revitalized. So I want to thank you again for coming. We're so excited about this project, and I can't wait to get started.
Very pleased that we're the recipient of this grant today. I was looking in our book, A Pictorial History of St. Charles Parish, which was completed as part of the 200 bicentennial of St. Charles Parish by our local historical foundation. And in the book, it has a section about Paul Mallard Road, which is part of the Old Spanish Trail. And I just want to read a couple of sentences. It says, according to the police jury minutes of 1866, the president is hereby authorized and empowered to issue warrants for the amount allowed in Mr. Paul Mallard and Mr. Mayrone's lands selected and purchased by the parish to lay out the new public road from the river to Magnolia Ridge, and that they should be first paid out of the special funds appropriated for that purpose. Eventually, a new route was named Paul Mallard Road. A ferry at Paul Mallard connected Luling to the east bank of the river. Many new businesses developed along the new corridor, and Luling became a boom town. And hopefully, with the benefits of this grant, we can bring that back to Paul Mallard Road and to Luling. As a lifelong resident of the parish in Hornbill, I remember the days of Paul Mallard Road when we had a lot of businesses that boomed in that particular part of our community. And for a lot of the residents here today, I'm sure you remember Paul Rich's department store that was on the corner where we all went to buy our school clothes. Back in those days, what usually anchored state highways or major thoroughfares were bar rooms. And we had Vial's Bar on one end and Timmy's Bar on the other end. Today you have drugstores usually on each end of the main thoroughfares. But we also had a bus station in Luling. We had Butcher Foray's Meat Market. We had Aurora's Seafood Market. We had Claudia Just Class Barbershop and Tom Torres's Barbershop. Benny Raziano had the Dairy Queen. Morris Becknell's Law Office. Dr. Posey Landash had the dentist's office. Miss Jenny Bushelak, everybody remembers Miss Jenny's restaurant and the snowball stand. Her cash register was her apron. And, most people remember Miss Jenny because in her store, whenever you went into her restaurant, she was making little dolls, handmade dolls. She rode in New Orleans every year for Mardi Gras, and that's what she threw off the cliff for handmade dolls she made all year long. And her husband, who we call Papa John, had the pool hall right next to the restaurant. A lot of young men And some ladies remember Papa John's football and some experiences there. We also had a skating rink on Paul Mallard Road that was there for many years. The Winn-Dixie, the TG&Y, and a lot of us older folks remember the Llewellyn Theater. That's where we went to see a movie. We don't have any theaters left in Parish today, but the Llewellyn Theater was there. So we had a lot of good memories on Paul Mallard Road. We have a few survivors. Bosco Cleaners has survived and still there. The Cobbler Shop, which has survived and still there. The hospital's still there. And we're very excited to see this grant come about because we want to see those glory days of Paul Mallard Road come back again. And we hopefully this project will make that happen. I was speaking to a lady just Friday actually, who her parents lived on Paul Mallard Road. She was born there on the Llewellyn end. When she got married, she moved to the Boothie end of Paul Mallard, and she's still there today. She spent her entire life living in Paul Mallard Road. And I think she'd be a good candidate to serve in our committee when we start the planning process. But again, thank you all for coming, and let's get on with the program.
Good morning, everyone, and it's so nice to see my friends from New Orleans, Crystal and Jill, and everybody that's so familiar to me. Mr. Babers, I've been looking for you since Hurricane Katrina. I think I told you. I'm glad I had a chance to finally meet you face to face. And I've been a recipient, our agency has been a recipient of HUD funds for St. Charles Parish, up to $1 million using home funds and housing trust funds to build over 30 houses. Since 2004, we've started construction in the parish. We are partnering with everybody we can find who want to bring housing and loan us money or grant us money to help build. We know that rural communities have a higher poverty rate than urban communities. We know that rural communities are great places for families to live with children, low crime, free education, public education. And the retail area is lacking somewhat, and I really would love to see a movie theater, another skating rink, because those are known as urban entities, but I think the rural community can handle this. Family Resources was founded in 1997 in Treme, historical Treme in New Orleans, as an agency that worked after the legislation for welfare work. We wanted to make sure that our families and our single female heads of households had a safety net when they were forced to go out in the workforce. So we started a workforce program that provided just soft skills, how to develop a resume, how to take a job interview, how to dress for success. And we work with the families so they can get out and get their first job. And eventually we started a housing piece because we realized that there was a lack of affordable housing for single female households, and everyone that needs to live in public housing, if they work, they need to have an opportunity to become a homeowner. So we worked with that program, became HUD certified as a housing counseling agency, became a community housing development agency in New Orleans and the state of Louisiana. And before Katrina, we were invited to come to Kelowna. For those of you who are from St. Charles Parish, you know what's existing in Kelowna. And I had never seen blighted trailers before, trailers as old as the 50s. People are still living like that. And in this climate with hurricanes, we really need to build permanent, safe, affordable housing. And since that time, we've partnered with the USDA, and we're providing a 1% interest loan. The lowest house note we've made here was $260 to an elderly client who lost her house with Gustav. And we're so proud of being able to make those opportunities available, in addition to winning a national award for St. Charles Parish through the National Development Council, which is a national recognized entity that have competition for housing organizations. And we brought the award home to St. Charles Parish, and we're really proud of that. We love New Orleans, we love our rural communities, we want to do as much as we can for everybody in this region, but for St. Charles, I'm here. So this is where I'll be for a while. I just want to say thank you for coming this morning. I do plan to become a resident at some point when I develop elderly housing here. Retirement. It's a great place to retire, trust me. So I want to thank you for coming this morning, and I look forward to working with Mr. Babers and USDA and everyone who has money to bring to the parish. And thank you for letting us be a part of your organization.
I'm Elizabeth Boo Thomas. I'm delighted to be here. As Haley and I were driving in, and came off the highway and made the little curve by Magnolia Ridge, I stopped at Spanish Trail, and I thought, no wonder I love this place. I remember driving down Spanish Trail. I'm from Abbeville, and we would go down to the beach, and that was how we got there. I didn't see much of it left, but it's still there, right? Okay. Well, it is a pleasure to be here, an honor to be with partners like this, that we will look at this corridor together. The CPEX, the Center for Planning Excellence, is a private nonprofit. We're in the unique position of being able to work very flexibly and nimbly with communities across the state, 25 different communities. And what we do is try and build capacity with the residents. We work to share knowledge about things that our rural communities, I sure didn't know about it in Abbeville, that we didn't know before, and how to leverage resources. What I am so proud of St. Charles Parish, I can remember sitting in that room with BJ Email the very first time. Carolyn was there, I think Dennis was there, as was Terry, and we were talking to them with Kim about what a comprehensive plan could do and the vision that they had, and looking at Shelley, realizing that you started this process with the end in mind. You decided it would not be a plan that would sit on the shelf, that you'd implement it, and look at this. It's usually not a $442,000 grant. This is huge, and this is a wonderful step in the right direction for St. Charles. CPEX is proud and honored to be a part of this, and we will really work to do our part. I have to recognize Haley Blakeman, who you all know has worked so hard in St. Charles Parish. Thank you again for including us in this.
It might be coincidence that Lion King is going to be playing soon in New Orleans. In Lion King, they talk about full circle of life, and it seems to me that we're just about ready to do the full circle of life for Paul Mallard. I've been at the hospital 26 years, and when I first started there, I used to talk to, I guess, what I would call some of the old timers of St. Charles Parish, and they talked about how Paul Mallard used to be a dirt road at one time. And when I started at the hospital, the bridge used to just bridge the river. It emptied out onto River Road on both sides of the river. And then a few years after I was here, they tied it into Highway 90. A few years after that, they tied it into Airline. And then the last tie was all the way to 310. I-10. And we thought at that time that Paul Mallard would kind of begin to diminish as a major thoroughfare for St. Charles Parish, but it really hasn't. I'm not sure what the traffic count is on Paul Mallard, but I estimate that for healthcare, which is one of the biggest services that is provided on Paul Mallard, between the hospital, the nursing home, community health center, and all of the physician offices that are located along Paul Mallard, that there's probably at least 40,000 cars passing per month on Paul Mallard just for healthcare. And a little bit of difference between those cars and the ones that use Paul Mallard to go through from River Road to 90 or vice versa, is that people stop and get out of their cars. So it's very important that for healthcare that we have a safe neighborhood and an improved road because of the the many cars that travel Paul Mallard each day for seeking healthcare services. So we're really excited about this particular plan and want to participate, and we think that it's going to really do a lot and go a long way to improve quality of life for all of St. Charles Parish. I'm a believer in plans. Many of you have heard me talk about over the last, since 2002 when the scope plan, the St. Charles overall planning effort was adopted by the parish council and parish president back then. We have used that plan to do a lot of the development of the hospital through the years, and we will again use these plans to continue to develop healthcare services for for St. Charles Parish.
Let me bring greetings on behalf of Secretary Donovan and the entire HUD family. Let me thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to come letting us visit with you this morning. Before I get started, I would like to acknowledge a couple of my staff people, actually, who is keeping me in line and making all this happen, and who will actually be interfacing with you. And first, I would like to introduce Dan Carmen, our field office director. Next to Dan is Karen Garrett, who is in the front office as well, and then we have Mrs. Crystal Jones Taylor with us as well. They're the guys that make it come together, and I really appreciate them being here and supporting me today. This is an exciting day, and certainly it couldn't come at a better time as we approach the Thanksgiving season. Certainly I wanted to stop by today and make you have something else to be thankful for. And certainly that is why we're so proud in announcing this $442,000 grant this morning. This is about our partners, and certainly your partners, in terms of coming together for economic development, for housing, as well as transportation, tying all the dots and making it come together. And as I sat here this morning listening to you in terms of reminiscing about how it was, hopefully this can get it back to some form of that. So we're excited. Let me just, if I may, for a moment, share what is happening across the country in terms of the competitiveness of this grant and why we really have a lot to be thankful for here today. Because this is over the entire country, we have $100 million in new grants that we are making this week. These funds will ensure this region and 28 others. Now, this is one of 29 nationwide, so that is something to pat yourself on the back. And these were very, very competitive. That these 29 grants will actually connect housing to jobs, providing transportation options for families, and generating the economic growth that we want to have happen. Because as you all know, we have are still somewhat in one of the worst economic depressions since probably the Great Depression. So what we're trying to do is change that, because what we're looking at is 52 cents out of every dollar goes to a person's housing or transportation costs. And so what we're trying to do is connect all these pieces. And when we build housing, we need to know that there's transportation as well as jobs are there. So that's what we are really looking for in terms of coordinating these efforts. Last year, this partnership awarded $170 million to help support our communities. We estimate this year's grant will create nearly 1,900 jobs, and certainly you will have your own numbers here in this area. But most exciting is the fact that this is going to certainly create some additional private capital that will come off the sidelines as you talk about these main arteries and all of the businesses that will hopefully take advantage of that. But we chose the St. Charles Parish proposal because you not only had a great plan, but the right local partners and a vision for success. And I think that is saying a whole lot. The right partners and a vision for success. You have the Center for Planning Excellence, the St. Charles Parish Hospital, the Parish School Board, Family Resources of New Orleans, the Louisiana Workforce Commission, the River Parishes Workforce Investment Act, Area 14, the New Orleans Regional Planning Commission, and the River Parish Transit Authority. All of these are vital. One of the things that we noticed in reviewing the applications was many areas were not looking at it regionally, but more singularly. And what we were wanting to do was do more of a regional approach, so those that were able to connect the dots with all of the partners were the ones that were most successful. And certainly you did a great job, and you are to be commended on connecting those dots, because that's what it is. And we are again, looking at sustaining our immediate communities, but also looking at planning for the future. So again, connecting our roadways, highways, and byways is what this is all about. But most of all, as we getting ready to come into a new year, we've got to create more jobs, and certainly we feel that this will do that. So I want to wish you well in your planning and in your endeavors in the future in terms of making this all come together. And I'm going to challenge our local office to work very closely with you in that endeavor and make it come together. And when I come back in a few years, I want to see all of this work. Thank you so much, and we appreciate it.